Y'all, the past 2 to 3 years of my life have been trying. So I wanted to talk today about like my journey these past 3 years with my health and how it started and where I am right now because I just feel like maybe so many people go through this burden of carrying like health issues alone and really don't have anybody to really understand what they're going through, y'all. And especially when you're in the dark about what's going on in your body, like there's something going on, but nobody has the answers. That's a big one. So I want to fast forward to maybe like 2 years ago or 2.5 years ago. Like I was going through a breakup, and this breakup was, I would say, my I'm not going to say it was my first real relationship, but this relationship went on for a very long time, just like my first relationship, right? So, my first relationship, I was married to a man. My second relationship, I was in a relationship with a woman. And I was just becoming more myself, right? When we first kind of like got together, like I was becoming more of who Sheree is, like what I like, this version of Sheree, right? I was becoming more of that version of me. The open-minded one, the carefree, the one who was gonna, try her best to live out loud as a gay woman, and still is, right? And realized that I liked women, So that was a different version of me from my first relationship when I was 16 years old to now in my 30s, right? But it lasted a long time, and it was it's been like it was hard to let go of that, like it was just hard. Like even now, like we're friends and we still have to put some distance in between us, but it still was like hard to do. Like it's still like, oh my God, when you care for someone and you love them, and even though you know that, hey, maybe this is not going to work out, or maybe this was just a moment in time for us, like everything else is, it still can be hard trying to let go of that, and that idea of having to move on with your life and kind of grieve the relationship and what you thought was going to happen or what you thought was going to be. And I have been in and out of that for a couple of years. And I remember at the beginning of it, it took a lot it just took a lot out of me, or it just affected me a lot, right? It affected me a lot. And for some reason I like pinpoint that moment in time as when I started to experience more like health issues. But I think it's because I was, you deal with everyday life stressors, but I think it's because I also was like grieving, like grief in itself just brings this whole nother energy with you, right? And I remember catching I think it was like it was like my third blood clot. I had a blood clot in my lung and I had one in my left leg. Um, and I have been recovering from that. It's been about 2 years. I've been recovering from that. Like I wear my compression stockings and everything like that. But that situation with the blood clots, I was put on Eliquis, a blood thinner, and right after that, I started having these headaches every single day for like a year plus, like headaches, dizziness, fatigue, low energy, like really depression, and not even realizing depression because all of this stuff was happening with my physical body. I was depressed. Aside of from what I was going through, you know, in my relationships or everyday stressors of being a mom, you know, and then, you know, being a mom that carries more of the weight than the other parent too. So I was just going through a lot and I couldn't figure out what was going on with me. I'm like, there's something happening. And I would also have like chest pains as well, but mostly it was head, like every in my head. And I went to my doctor, my hematologist. I was like, okay, maybe it's the medicine. She's like, no, it's not the medicine, right? And I was like, okay, well, I need a new doctor. I need somebody else to, you know. So I'm jumping from doctor to doctor, trying to figure out what was going on with me. And one doctor, you know, we did some tests, and she realized, hey, you have your iron, like your ferritin is at a 7. You know, if you know anything about a ferritin being at a 7 is too low, very low, right? So I was iron deficient anemia, right? Anemic, diagnosed with iron deficient anemia, and I had these iron shot, these what do you call it when they hook you up to the IV and they give you the iron through the IV. I had that. I had a few sessions of that, and that seemed to help me, but I still was having like the headaches. Like it kind of helped with the fatigue, y'all, but I was having that like the headaches and stuff and the dizziness and the pressure in my head, and it was messing with my eyesight and like lights and the whooshing and ringing in my ear, y'all. Like even still right now, I'm going to tell you where I am now, but I've been through all of these doctors, and I'm still going to doctors. I'm still going to doctors. But a couple of days ago, maybe like a day ago or two, I went to, I had an appointment with the medical medium, y'all. Like I had been following her on TikTok for a little while, not too long. But I was always interested in medical mediumship because I remember I have the medical medium book. It's over there, but I have the medical medium book. I remember going to Barnes and Nobles one day. I pick up this medical medium book. I start to read the book. The bottom of my foot starts jumping instantly, and that is my sign for me to say to know, hey, there's something in this book that you need to know. So I was like, oh my God, I gotta buy this book. You know, I'm having this intuition. My foot is jumping. I gotta get this book. And in the book, it talks about the medical medium. He talks about different things going on with the body. One of them being EBV, the Epstein-Barr virus. It also talks about a heavy metal detox that you can do, and it just all kind of stuff, right? Even talks about autism, and I was interested in it at first, really because my son has autism. So I was like, okay, I can do heavy metal detoxes with him. So I knew all that information about the virus and the heavy metals and all that stuff like that. And that was like probably a year ago, right? And a couple of days ago, I had this phone call with a medical medium, and she told me she gave me so much validation, and she helped me more than like in those 20 minutes of us just being on that phone call. She helped me more than what any doctor could have done for me in the past year or so that I had been going to these doctors trying to figure out what's going on, and still going and still going. And they're like, hey, try this medicine. Hey, try that medicine. Hey, try this. I'm like, this ain't working, doc. We just trying to guess. We guessing now? Like, we guessing now? But she's telling me, as soon as we get on the phone, she's like, you have a virus. You also have heavy metals. You have too much copper in your brain. You have aluminum, too much aluminum. There was another one she said, but basically that I have heavy metal toxicity and I need to be detoxing. And she was like, you need to be like on a raw vegan diet for at least 6 months. And you to eat just more fruits and vegetables. And it's important because my system is like, I guess it processes things slowly. So like all of the meats and the dairy and stuff like that, all of that stuff is really not the best for my system. So I need to be, which I've heard this before, and I have been trying to implement more, like trying to stay on the straight and narrow with the vegetarian, between vegetarian and vegan. But hearing her tell me this, it just solidified it for me, and it just was like, Sheree, you have to do this in order to get better. So that is where I'm right now. But yeah, she was amazing. She was like on point with everything, even telling me about my relationships that I didn't even ask for, right? So I just went to her strictly about for my headaches and the dizziness and the pressure and the whooshing in the ears and the ringing in the ear. And she was like, yes, you gotta detox. She was like, get some golden seal. Like she was recommending things for me to get to help me, right? So of course the cilantro, the parsley, for the virus, the golden seal. We talked about my blood being thick and how I get the blood clots. She said vitamin E. Like she just was giving me everything was just on point and so helpful. The cilantro as well for the detox. But it was just so helpful, and I just felt so seen, so heard, so validated with everything that I have been thinking already. So yeah, so now I am starting this journey of juicing and eating raw fruits, vegetables, and just doing my best to stay on the straight and narrow with this, to implement this into my life and do it for however long I can so that I can see the results that I'm looking for. And you know, that reading, like at the end of that reading, I just felt so hopeful and so grateful that I know that things are going to turn around for me. I just felt a shift within me. Like this is, I don't know, it just made me so happy, and it just made me realize like how much the world needs medical mediums. The world needs more medical mediums. It is a beautiful, beautiful gift, beautiful thing to be able to help somebody who has been searching for answers and like almost felt like giving up to like until you go through something with your health, like you don't really know how it feels. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I have so much compassion for people now who are going through things, carrying these things with their health, and nobody around them really understands or really knows what's going on. That's like the worst, like I've been dealing with this for so long, but nobody can tell me what it is. And you do your best to try to describe how you feel. Like I would literally feel like a metallic feeling in my head. And I'm like, is it iron? Like, is it, my first thought was like, it's iron. It's something it's something irony, it's something metallic. And I started thinking about copper. I had thoughts about copper. I was like, it's kind of like a copper feeling. You know, I just was like, how can I describe this feeling to people if I've never been through it before? I've never experienced it. It's my first time, right? Your body is always talking to you, and your body is always trying to tell you what it needs. We have to listen to our bodies, and this reading, something else what she did for me was she validated what I knew. She validated what I was feeling, right? So that in itself is helping me to trust myself more on what I feel and what my body is telling me, right? Because we know, like, when we have to use the bathroom, you get that sensation, hey, you gotta go use the bathroom. Or women, when you have a period, you get that feeling, oh, my period's about to start. Probably in like the next day or 30 minutes, my period is about to start. You get that feeling, right? So paying attention to your body is so important. But like when you experience a feeling that you never felt before, you do your best to describe it. You do your best to understand it, because that is the language your body is speaking. Your body is speaking through feeling, and it is always trying to communicate its needs to you and what's happening. So yeah, y'all, I was just so grateful and so blown away by this experience. And I am going to implement like all the things that were recommended to me by her, and I just can't wait to see these results. Like I already feel better in my heart. I already feel better like about this and what I'm going through. So I just want to encourage anybody who's going through anything like this to don't give up, y'all. It's been taking me about 2 years, y'all. Don't give up. I promise you it gets better. It gets better. It gets better. And listen to your body. Even if you don't understand right in the moment what's happening, and even if you don't have the words, just keep going, y'all. Keep going. Okay? All right. So that's all I want to tell y'all for right now. Here's to my journey of health, you know, getting back to feeling good in my body. So, thank y'all for listening.